up, Andrew? Oh yeah, you're good. I'm gonna start trying to start these earlier now that I have the intro videos.
You have the countdown going, yeah?
Oh yeah, looks pretty cool. Yep, about minute 50, and then it'll have like a beeper that starts going, and then it'll start. I start it right at, so it'll transition to this screen where our normal stream right at on the hour.
Okay.
So it's like you still have like intro time and all that other. Yeah, you got intro time and all that other stuff.
I'm live.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? So yeah, welcome everyone to our, I'm not even actually sure what number we're at, but our reoccurring TELx meeting. I'll be the host today. We'll go through kind of the forward, the updates. We'll go through just an update on kind of the agenda, and then we can go and keep going. So I'll kick it off and just basically say, welcome to the reoccurring TELx meeting. As we know, these meetings serve several essential functions in supporting transparent and effective governance. They provide transparency to the community. They establish structure and organization for the council forums. They enable authors to present their proposals to both the council and the broader community. They facilitate review, debate, and refinement of proposals to achieve consensus and mutual understanding. They deliver regular updates to the TELx ecosystem. They ensure consistent communication between council members and the community, and they allow the community to engage directly in Q&A with us, the council members. So the TELx Council is a local governance body tasked with overseeing TELx operational rules, ensuring overall system health, and supporting social well-being within the entire ecosystem. So the overview, the TELx Council reviews, develops, and votes on TELx IP proposals to introduce or modify elements of the TELx system, adjust TELx harvesting rules, and represents the interests of their constituency in all matters related to TELx. So duties, the TELx Council is responsible for planning, financing, and coordinating the implementation of improvements to the TELx ecosystem, regulating the issuance and distribution of TEL for harvesting by liquidity miners, introducing, modifying, and enforcing TELx operational rules, including those related to harvesting, communication, maintenance, and construction, informing miners of council activities, outcomes, and results from snapshot votes. And for those snapshot votes, there are requirements. All council members must participate. Proposal requires a 5 out of 6 majority vote in order to pass. All votes must be cast within a 5-day span from the proposal being posted to Snapshot. So I'll just quickly go through the agenda for today. So we'll have the welcome and opening, which is now by myself. We'll have a meeting recap by Will. I think we have Markus on here as well and Halil, so that's great. So we'll flip to Markus afterwards, and we'll talk about Uniswap, specifically how the airdrop script is going and any updates we have on the V4 hooks. Afterwards, we'll flip to Halil to talk about the website UX UI redesign, and then after that, we'll open it up to community Q&A. So Will, I'll flip it to you for last meeting's recap.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, we talked about, well, basically the same thing as usual. First, Markus gave us a report about the Uniswap reward script, which was nearly complete at the time and is about to be complete, I hope. And we also discussed about a possible 50-50 split approach for rewards distribution, meaning distributing half of the rewards for ETH fees and half of the reward for TEL fees, for example, for ETH TEL pools. Then we had an update on the V4 hook implementation, which is targeted for completion before November election. That is still on track. Then we had Halil present us the website redesign with some screenshots of what we can expect. And then lastly, we had Ermias from Storm that introduced the TELx University initiative and showed us, well, these educational tracks to expand knowledge among users. And lastly, Andrew gave us an insight about treasury updates, and we'll see if anything has moved from this. I guess that's it.
Yeah, thanks, Will. Just a quick update on the treasury. I did kind of pull all the information from, Polygon Scan. I did put it into a little bit more of an Excel kind of version. And I know, Ty, you mentioned that you were going to take a look at that and updating that into a little bit more of a budget perspective, because what I took off was really just kind of the transactions. But to your point, Ty, we could probably break it down into kind of an opening balance, ending balance, and all that kind of stuff, and have it look a little bit more professional. But we'll work on that and have something probably available hopefully by the next meeting. So all good there. Markus, if you're available, we'll ask that you come up and we can chat about kind of the latest and greatest with what's going on with Uniswap. A little bit more
for sure.
professional, but
so the rewards derivation script, tracking all the fees and using the volume weighted average price for each of the positions and all of the total fees, crediting them to the correct owner of the position. Anytime fees are collected, it's all complete. So rewards derivation script, you can check that box, as well as also the the distribution script is also done. Basically just pull the info from the output file from the rewards derivation script, and format those for a smart contract call. So basically, in short, this address earned this much, and that can be fed into the crypto batcher contract that we've used to send tokens in the past. So that'll be done. They'll just be delivered right into the wallet. So that script is also complete. So all that's left is the Uniswap v4 hook. Finish that, get it through audit, and launch ahead of the elections in November.
Amazing. Just to provide a little bit more detail, I know I provided an update on the Telegram channel, but I know we had an internal meeting, Markus, with a couple of us, and as we were kind of going through it, we did find kind of that underflow issue. I was just wondering, maybe you can kind of speak to that a little bit, just so that we have it kind of on record here.
Underflow issue, yeah. It's removed. It's been fixed, when was it in the most recent set of outputs? I looked through. I didn't see it.
No, not recently. I'm just trying to go back to the last time we had a conversation, because I know that we had a couple internal meetings between 2 weeks ago. It was just to understand, the discrepancy in understanding the fee growth from period to period, and why it was an issue is because of that uninitiated tick, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just wondering if you can maybe explain that a little bit more so people can understand it.
Yeah, totally. Okay, sorry. I'm so the context of this meeting versus the last one versus the one before that it's all a blur to me. I know. Yeah, you'll forgive me. But okay. So in a previous version of the script, and there's more to it than just underflow. Okay, we'll start with the underflow. So GitHub Brain is exactly what that is. So so in order to track fees for a given range, the Uniswap v4 contract has a function. It's called get fee growth inside. And so if you've provided liquidity on Uniswap v4, you create a position through the position manager, which is a v4 core contract. And that position is it is an ERC 721, so it's actually an NFT. And what it does is it records a range within which your liquidity is concentrated. And this was something that was introduced in Uniswap v3. It's called concentrated liquidity. The math around it gets pretty hairy pretty quickly, so I'll try not to get in depth. But when you have a position, it as an NFT, it has a unique range and identifier associated with it. So that range essentially spans what's called a tick lower and a tick upper. And these ticks are what represent the on-chain price. At any given moment, there's something called the current tick, which is the price. But so the lower bound and the upper bound of the concentrated liquidity are defined by those upper and lower ticks. And so agnostically, or optimistically, you might think, the Uniswap v4 API provides this function on the pool manager, which is called, it's a state view contract. But Uniswap v4 provides this function where you just call get fee growth within range, inside, I think it's called. And you would think, what is the position? Let's look at grab the tick upper, grab the tick lower, and feed that into the state view contract. This doesn't actually always work as agnostically or optimistically as you would think. So originally, the script was doing exactly that. Look at a position, figure out its tick upper and its tick lower, and feed that into the state view contract as a range agnostically. If in the case where either of those ticks or both or none have not been initialized, meaning if the price has not crossed that tick boundary on chain, that slot where that tick is stored will not have any information on it. And so instead of returning, if you call, let's say, tick 0 to tick 10, we've got a position from tick 0 to tick 10, and we just call the state view contract, hey, get fee growth inside this range from 0 to 10. And the price has never, ever reached 10, but it has been from -10 to 9 or something. So 0 is an initialized tick. So when the Uniswap contract looks in its state for the 0 tick, which is the lower bound in this case, it'll return a nice value. There'll be fee growth there. Lovely, no problem. For the upper tick, which will be tick 10, like we said, that tick has not been initialized because the price has not crossed it yet. Liquidity can be in that range, that range, like it is in this case, might be the upper bound of a position, or it could be any part of a position. But because the price has not crossed there yet, or if it ever will, the contract, rather than have information stored at that tick, it will just have zeros across the board. And so the original implementation, which I just assumed, oh, look at this nice API, let me call it with all the position ranges, would occasionally result in abnormally large fee growth result, and that is because of an underflow where one of the ticks has not been initialized and is returning zero, and either a subtraction or an addition causes an underflow or an overflow, depending on, I think maybe it would always be an underflow. But so in short, the tick math was a little bit more involved than I just assumed. And actually, one thing that is interesting, there's sparse writing about this, but the underflow and overflow mechanics for some of those situations, not in this specific case with the uninitialized tick, but the contract itself uses unchecked math and intentionally allows for these underflow and overflows. Usually in Solidity, those are sort of like not desired behaviors, and the compiler from version 0.8 of Solidity blocks any sort of underflows and overflows. So the Uniswap v4 contract is using Solidity compiler version 0.8. That's something on the high end, 0.8.16 or something. So normally those sorts of underflows and underflows would be blocked, but they decided to actually keep it in, and it's one of the things that v4 enabled. They intentionally use unchecked math to allow for underflows and overflows because of ways that the fee tracking is done with, they're done with deltas rather than sort of like fixed amounts. So I ran into this like design decision and read about it a bit. It was pretty interesting. But yeah, it also means that in the case that we were using for just trying to figure out fee growth within range, providing an uninitialized tick is one of those sort of like edge cases that slips through, where that unchecked math gets hit and it returns a really large number rather than revert, which is sort of what I would have expected it to do. So we resolved that. And even with that, there are still some like just-in-time liquidity actions that happen occasionally, and those will also result in quite large fee growth. And so the next step after I resolved the underflow, and the way that I resolved it was implement like a searching mechanism, which, for each position, okay, we know the lower tick is 0, the upper tick is 10. Before we feed any information and call the state view contract, we have to find what the nearest initialized ticks to those boundaries are. So in the case that I described, where the price had gotten to 9 but never to 10, 0 will be checked. Okay, that is the initialized tick. We can keep that one. For the upper bound for 10, it'll start searching and find the nearest initialized tick. It'll go down, it'll find 9, and then it'll be like, okay, so rather than call the state view contract from range 0 to 10 and get this massive underflow, we will call it from 0 to 9, because 9 is the nearest initialized tick. So yeah, and then after that, then I sort of addressed the ignoring just-in-time liquidity actions, so that there's no, I don't know, I think Ty used the word unsocial actors who would be slurping up more fees than normal. So that is how those were addressed, and that was done, I believe, end of last week, maybe Monday.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I wanted you to explain, Marcus. Just because I know we've had a lengthy conversation about that, and I just wanted to make sure people understood kind of the complexities of it and the nuances of which you had to dive deep into understanding kind of the whole structure of the system. Again, those bounds, those initiated ticks, and all that kind of stuff. It's just good. So people don't have to come asking us. We can kind of reference them to this, explanation that you just gave right now. So thank you.
Totally.
Yeah, thanks, Markus. I have just a couple of questions. Regarding the council or community validating this information. I personally have had a lot of trouble trying to look at the JSON output that you provided. I can't seem to get any converters to work. So just to verify, will we be getting a spreadsheet that summarizes position rewards for each wallet so that we can verify it? And then I think the intent is just to release that to the community for a first look, and then make the airdrop on Friday. Is that still the plan?
Yeah. So the Excel or the spreadsheet sort of human readability of it is what I'm working on right now. That is, yeah. So yes, but there's a couple things there. So one of the things, the spreadsheet is going to be more readable, absolutely. But again, and so if the main problem is just the JSON format, then that's no problem. We'll have an Excel spreadsheet reflecting the data. But one thing that I did want to touch on is sort of referencing the ownership ledger of these positions again. So the reason why the JSON has so much data in it, which might not necessarily be the most readable, but it is all of the information that is required to derive the rewards for any given LP. And so they have to go hand in hand, which is not the most, it's still going to be a lot of data, I guess is what I'm trying to say. When the Excel sheet is done, when I'm sort of converting this JSON to, I don't know if it's going to be CSV or if it's going to be XLSX, but so it might be easier if I run you through the considerations here. So if we have, for the period, which is a week, right? Let's say last week till today, we have a position, let's say it's my position. I created a position, let's go with the 0 to 10 tick thing. And I created the position last Thursday. Okay. So the way that the rewards have to be tabulated is sort of as Uniswap v4 does, which is lazily update the positions each time the liquidity is modified, right? The reason for that is because the ownership of the position can change, and that can change without, the position, well, I guess the position would know about it, but the ownership can change without any of the fees being collected or the liquidity being modified. So if I created my position on Thursday, over the period, the first Wednesday, so a week from today, there was no fee growth, right? Because the position was not created yet. So there's a modify liquidity event or action that happened on Thursday, which was the creation of the event. Cool. Okay, so the script has to take that into account. Basically, what it does is it establishes a timeline over the course of the period for the position. And so we've now established that from Wednesday to Thursday, that position did not exist. So it had, in effect, 0 liquidity from Wednesday to Thursday. Great. So I created the position. Let's say I created it with 100 liquidity units from tick boundary 0 to 10. So the price is somewhere between 0 to 10. There's fees accumulating, there's swaps happening. That's great. I can transfer that position, for example, to you, Ty, and that does not invoke any sort of fee collection. Nothing happens to the fees except for the fact that I can no longer claim them. So I transferred them to you, Ty, on Thursday, the same day that I created it, and you become entitled to claim whatever rewards are associated with that position.
Okay.
So then, let's say on Saturday, you alter the liquidity position. You dip it down from 100 liquidity units, cut that in half to 50 liquidity units. But you're the one who did that, not me. So even though I created the position on Thursday, because I transferred it to you also on Thursday, you became entitled to that fee growth, which is associated with the position. So on Saturday, when that position gets altered, you cut the liquidity in half. Uniswap v4 automatically, anytime the liquidity is changed, it collects the fees. So at that moment on Saturday, the fees get attributed to you. And so the ownership ledger here is kind of a real kink in the machine, because even though I created the position, the script has to identify that the owner was different when those fees were collected, and the fees were collected, they need to be credited to your address and not mine. And then, well, I guess that sort of illustrates the main thing that I need to get to, I think. At the same thing, though, if you were to lower it to 0, then, whoever, let's say you transferred it back to me on Sunday. So then you collected fees on Saturday, those were attributed to your wallet. Saturday, to Sunday, you did nothing. So there were some more fees grew on that position, but then you transferred the position back to me. So I got the position on Sunday, and then I immediately collected rewards. So all of those fees that accumulated, even though you owned the position, they're only credited to the position. And then when you transfer them to me, and then I collect the fees, then the fees need to be attributed to my wallet. So the relationship between the owner of the position and the fees that grow to the position are sort of complicated, I guess. And when the Excel file is converted from the JSON, all of this data still needs to be there in order for it to be verifiable. Because what you need to be able to do is look at, okay, so the fee was created on Thursday. Sure, it was created by Markus's wallet, but the fees were not collected until Saturday. But on Saturday, the ownership had changed, and so the fees for that position from Thursday to Saturday need to go to Ty. And then the fees from Saturday to Sunday actually go to Markus because the ownership of the NFT changed again. So the Excel file will have more readable, it'll have all of these, it'll have all this information, and you can, if you don't want to sort of follow the entire lifetime of a position through the course of the period, that's fine. But I think in order for it to be fully verifiable, which I think the goal is here, it does need to contain all that information. And there will be, of course, like the bottom section of the JSON, it's called LP data. That object is the final summation of everything that I just described, where the period from Wednesday to Thursday was 0, the period from Thursday to Saturday was attributed to Ty, the period from Saturday to Sunday was attributed to Markus, and then the rest of the lifetime of the position, which would be Sunday to Wednesday till now, assuming I'm still the one holding the NFT, would be attributed to me. The section under LP datas, that is where all of those summations, Wednesday to Thursday, Thursday to Saturday, Saturday to Sunday, and then Sunday to Wednesday, are credited to the correct owner of the position given its lifetime. So all in all this to say, if you only want to see what the final reward outcomes are, that'll be the most readable part of the Excel, and it currently is, I think, the most readable part of the JSON. But in order to do these verifications, you have to track all of these things that I just outlined per position. So the Excel will probably have multiple pages, or at least multiple sections, where you can sort of track the lifetime of each position.
Okay, no, I understand that a position has an owner, it's an owner wallet, and then will it be possible to filter out just your positions that were under your wallet, and so somebody can just easily check, well, I know I had this position in your example from Thursday to Sunday, Monday to Thursday, and then it was transferred on Thursday back to you. So I will only see rewards for my position under my wallet for that position Monday to Thursday, and I'll be able to filter out your wallet address from Thursday to Sunday.
Well, yes, but yes, in that for each position, there's a timeline for it. There's a list of, it's under the modify liquidity section, and so for each position, you'll see exactly that. You'll see, okay, well, it was, the period from Wednesday to Thursday was 0. Who was the owner? Well, 0. It wasn't made yet. There'll be another entry under modify liquidities for Saturday when the fees were collected, but they were collected by you. So it will show the fee growth there and the owner that it was attributed to. But I don't believe I'm collecting the individual numbers. They're just sort of summed and then aggregated into the LP data's object. If that answers your question. So a little bit of both. Yes. No.
I'm just saying at some point we as the council have to say, yes, this is a true representation of the airdrop, especially since it's the first time we've done it. And we can see from our positions that the rewards and the incentives kind of tie in with the fees we've generated, and therefore everything's hunky-dory, and we'll say yes. And then after that, we have faith in the way the system works.
I think from that perspective, Ty, Markus mentioned that he's working on getting those JSON files into like an Excel or a Google Doc, similar to 10IP1. From there, then we as council members can review. I don't know how often people plan on transferring NFTs from liquidity. I know I never plan on doing it. Just sounds complicated by you guys talking about it, so I don't think I'm ever going to do that. But
and that's the case for almost all the positions. Actually, I have yet to see a single change of ownership for the position.
Yeah, and that's why I was just going to say, I don't want to dive into too many of the details about that, just because I don't know if it's going to be a huge feature. I know, Markus, it might be just from obviously the script and understanding it from that perspective. I just don't know how many people are actually going to transfer it. So I don't want to continue to talk about it for another 10, 15 minutes if just to try to explain it. But
yeah, and so I guess we should bundle it up together with what Andrew just said, which is when you do get the Excel sheets, I would say 99% of the time the fee growth for that position will be exactly sort of attributable. You'll be able to look at all the positions that you had, sum up all of their fee growths associated with those positions, and it will sum out to the total fee growth that is listed under your address. 99% of the time.
I'm trying to get to, yeah, we'll be able to identify it. That's
exactly, yeah. So you will be able to. If you did transfer your NFT though, there will be chunks of that fee growth attributed to the position that had to be credited to another wallet, another owner. But like Andrew's saying, 99% of the time it will be very straightforward to check that. And if it doesn't sum up to that amount, then it will be because there was a change of ownership.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right. So essentially, next steps. We'll wait on you, Markus, to send us that info. We'll quickly review it as quickly as possible, and if we can get rewards distributed as early as Friday, let's do it. And then we'll continue to go from there. And obviously, maybe Markus, if there's like a Google share or a doc similar to 10IP1, where we do that for each pool. And then, like I said in my email, I think this morning was just each period, we can just have it as different tabs. And then kind of take it from there and just have those updated on an ongoing period by period basis.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So is that, I've lost track of the number of periods behind we are. Is that 7 or 8?
We just finished 7 on would have been Wednesday,
right.
0 UTC. So we are currently into period 8.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Beautiful.
Thanks,
sure thing.
Okay, and then just to confirm stuff for the hook, Markus, you said obviously once the Excel stuff is done, that's going to be the focus afterwards. Again, I don't want to put you on the spot in terms of timelines, but I know it's got to go to an audit. But the plan would be to try to get that to audit by next week.
That's the goal. Yeah. I don't imagine the Excel thing taking me more than today. Although, every time I say that, then I look.
Well, that's why I don't want to put any firm timelines on anything, but that's okay.
As far as I know, there are no bizarre underflow nuances to Excel, so we should be.
Okay, good. And then typically the audit time is like 3 days for the audit, and then we just basically have to wait for them to provide the results.
Right. Well, 3 days for the audit, and then 3 days generally for me to complete the fixes, have them reviewed by the auditors. And then, yeah, so maybe 6 days all in all.
Okay, so let's say, like, worst case scenario, if next week is fine with you, then, you know, it goes to audit kind of on the Friday. We get it back by kind of the next Friday on the 17th. If everything looks good, assuming there's no issues, then we'll be ready for the governance votes and all that kind of stuff when it comes to elections.
Yeah, that is the plan.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, I know we can't really say much more about the hooks until the audit results come back. So let's wait for that once that goes through, and then we can take the next steps from there. But okay, no, that's all sounding good. I'm just looking. Dave is asking, does the current V4 pool's liquidity count towards voting power? So what's going to happen there, Dave, is that's what the hook is going to do. So the hook is going to be able to delegate that voting power for those elections and governance votings as it relates to the liquidity miners positions. So it's similar to the way it is with Balancer right now, but we needed to develop and get this hook audited in order to implement it as well. So actually that brings up a key point too, because we're actually going to have to implement the hook and get people to transfer their liquidity via the new pools before the elections.
Yes,
because the liquidity that we have right now in the pools that we're incentivizing don't have connectivity to Snapshot and therefore cannot vote. So we'll make sure that the communication goes out. But that is a good point, Dave. Is that we need to make sure that the liquidity is transferred from the current pools to the new pools in order to be able to vote with that voting power.
I know obviously only the owners of the liquidity can do that transfer. So
each individual is going to have to tie. Yeah. So essentially what's going to happen is you're going to have to withdraw your liquidity and then invest in the new pool while attaching that hook. Like we'll put the details and all the step-by-step guide together for everybody. But in its simplest form, you need to withdraw the liquidity in the current pools. You need to then transfer your liquidity to the new pools while attaching the hook.
Yeah. No, yeah. So really the community needs to take note from now that there will be changes that need to be implemented prior to the voting for the upcoming elections. Correct.
Yeah. And that step that Andrew is saying to attach the hook, it'll be a separate transaction. So it'll be, the very first transaction will be withdraw your liquidity, prepare for the new pool. But once you're looking at the new pool, there will be two transactions that need to be done to opt into the program. The first is to provide the liquidity. And that's great. It sounds like everybody's done that before, so that'll be straightforward. Just do that again. But there will need to be a second transaction, which has to be done, which is to call the subscribe function. And that's what sort of opts in to the program. So that not only are you providing liquidity, but you're also, the subscriber is aware that you are participating in this program.
Yeah, and to further that too, actually, as you were explaining that, Marcus, there actually is going to be another step too, where you got to stake on TELx as well.
Ooh, right. Good. Yes, of course. Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, we'll make sure that we put all the details together in a pretty clear, concise way so that everybody can kind of see step by step in order to be eligible to use whatever liquidity you have within Uniswap in the pools that we're obviously providing liquidity rewards to, that you guys know exactly what to do from step one to the end of transitioning and staking on TELx, because that's the other difference there is that we'll have a claiming function on the TELx website as opposed to a period by period airdrop.
Okay. Do you know off the top of your head, does Uniswap, the subscriber bit is, it's part of their protocol, but I don't know if the UI has like a button that says.
Yeah. There's a attach when you create a position, Marcus.
Yeah, I think you have
a box that says attach a hook, and then
Yeah, I think
you
it's like a contract address that you have to input when you're providing liquidity. I don't know if it's 2 transactions like you explained, Marcus, but
They might
when
batch
you're
that.
putting it in, it does say like attach hook, and I think there's like a contract address that you have to add in.
Okay, awesome. So then we don't have to build a UI for it. That is
No, no, you don't have to do anything for that. No, it's just basically you attach the hook, and then once the liquidity is provided, you get the NFT, and then you'll just have to do the next step of going to the TELx website and stake that liquidity
awesome.
or the NFT, so to speak.
And while we're talking about the hook, I wanted to bring up one thing really quick. So originally, looking at the previous hook implementation, there were numerous issues with it, but one of them I pointed out was that it only was relying on the on-chain price at the time that snapshot calls in. So basically, in short, the hook has a function that says calculate voting weight, and what it does is it looks at your position or the token's like position. And identifies, well, how much TEL is there and how much ETH is there, or for voting it'll just be TEL. So how much TEL and how much ETH is there, and it calculates the voting weight by looking only at the current price of the pool and sort of converting the ETH amount of the position to TEL, so that you have a single number, which is basically how much TEL is in this position and how much what is the value of
of
the
token.
ETH side in TEL.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. So it like that point in time when the snapshot is taken, whatever that value of that liquidity position is, like again, let's just use numbers. If it's $1,000, it's gonna convert that $1,000 into what that equates to in TEL.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring this up because when we talked about using so the weakness, not weakness, but the fragility sort of there is that it's only the price at a very given moment, at one specific moment. And when we went through with the reward script, rather than so originally I was doing the same thing. I was just identifying what the price of ETH is in TEL terms and using that, or the price of TEL in ETH terms. You know what I mean? And using that conversion based on that one moment, which was at the end of the period. And we ended up deciding that a volume weighted average price was more desirable. This is it's called a VWAP, where the ratio of fees for the period is actually a much more comprehensive price to use, because over the course of whatever period of time, for the reward script, it's each week. But the voting weight calculation could do the same thing. What we could do is, rather than rely on, okay, when is snapshot calling in to get all the voting weights, and then maybe some large whale comes in and buys a lot of TEL or dumps a lot of ETH or something, and that moment that the voting weights are calculated, everything is out of whack. If we use the VWAP, and those are available on chain, I can do the same thing in Solidity that I am in TypeScript, where I can pull, okay, what was the average price of the token?
What would be the range of that period, though? Because you'd have to look at it on an annualized basis, which I think might be challenging. To me, there's always that.
It can be just a week.
That scare of that manipulation, but to the same effect, Marcus. In my opinion, I can just go and stake. If I have 50% of my TEL on my wallet staked, I can go and stake 100% of it right before the snapshot for my staking voting power. And then after that's done, I can just go back to what it was before. I think the more voting power technically we have, the better. So I don't know. To me, I think it's okay leaving it at the time of snapshot, but.
Well, it's not so much the adding, yes, if you add your position, you'll get voting weight and then you remove it. And so that's sort of a timing attack. But I think more so because positions span a range, depending on where the current tick is, your position you might have put in 50% TEL, 50% ETH, but due to impermanent loss at the given moment of the voting calculation, the price might have moved so that your position now is essentially mostly ETH. And so you would have very little voting power. But
wouldn't it convert the value of that ETH into TEL?
That is
true. That's what I mean. So if you have $1,000 in the pool and it's 80-20, or it's 50-50 or 75-25, regardless of what that split is, what is the nominal fiat value of that?
Yeah.
divide that by the current Telcoin price. That's your voting power.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be doing that. So
I think that's the simplest way to do it. Like, I don't want to overcomplicate things, and I think like the way that we've done it in the past with Balancer, like last elections, that's essentially what we did.
all right.
Yeah, I think we need to keep it the same just because it's easier. Everybody understands it. It's, yeah, your voting power is your fiat value,
Denominated in TEL.
TEL price. Yeah.
Yeah. Will, I know you've been very patient, so I think you had a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, so I had a question about the stablecoin pool, the USDC EMXN. So if in all the other pools the voting weight is denominated in TEL, how about what about this pool? Is it do you have to convert first EMXN to USDC, then get this total and convert it into TEL to get the voting weight? Or as you said, maybe it's easier to denominate everything in USDC or fiat value and then get the voting weight from there. I don't know.
I did not think the stablecoin pools are going to qualify for voting. I thought it was just the TEL pools.
No, the stablecoin one, anything that we're incentivizing essentially qualifies for governance.
Okay. Well, you don't have. I mean, we can still just pick one token. It doesn't really matter that much. So yeah, I guess
but
you would just pick. I would probably prefer USDC in that case.
But I think
My-
Will's question
my
is
question is, how do you convert that USDC into voting weight? Because in the other pools, it will be denominated in TEL. So what price do you use for conversion between the USDC and the TEL of all the other pools to calculate the voting weight?
it has to be in TEL, is what you're saying?
I think so. I think it needs to be. I think you would just like for that
Specific. To tell a snapshot, surely.
Yeah, I would think for any stable or digital cash pools moving forward, I think you would just need to add another equation to that, Marcus, is, take EMXN, convert it to USDC, then take USDC, convert it into TEL in terms of just the governance voting.
Right.
Or we can denominate all the pools in USDC, and so you'll get a common weight for everywhere for every pool.
We could, if we had one token to pick to denominate. Again, this is the Telcoin Association, the Telcoin Network. I would choose to use the token of choice. Then that would be TEL to me. But
yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, but so what price do you use? Where would you fetch the on-chain price?
Yeah,
but I mean, in a particular pool, I mean, in the Polygon TEL Ether pool, you have a tick in the pool, so it's easy to convert the ETH to TEL. But for the stablecoin pool, you don't have any tick regarding TEL value. So how would you get the TEL value from? Where would you get it from to convert the USDC into TEL?
You can get it from the TEL pool, but we're sort of circling back to, Andrew was saying that whatever your position was, the other side of it gets converted to TEL. So the fiat value of the position is what's used to vote. But I'm not sure that's still the case, because now we're talking about the stablecoin pool. And I'm glad you guys brought this up, because the original hook did not have any of that at all. So it was only designed for ETH TEL. But so if you're looking at the fiat value of the total position on a USDC EMXN pool, and then converting that with the current TEL price, it's not going to be the same. I mean, we can do it, but is that going to be the same voting?
I think my position, at least, Marcus, would be that if you have $1,000 in TEL wrapped ETH pool, that voting power is the exact same as $1,000 in the EMXN USDC pool.
Okay.
So it goes back to whatever your fiat denominated total liquidity position is, divided by the snapshot position of TEL.
Even with the extra hop, I mean, in theory, yes, if the pricing is even and these markets are liquid, but with the extra hop, right, we're looking at the ratio of EMXN to USDC, converting that to USDC, and then we have the full USDC value of that position in the stablecoin pool. But then we're going to pull the TEL price and convert and use that price to convert USDC into a TEL denomination. So if we're okay with the two hops and whatever sort of capital inefficiencies might move the actual number one direction or another depending on current conditions. But yeah, I mean, I think it still works.
Yeah, to me, the voting power needs to be in TEL. That's my opinion, but
Yeah, and a snapshot's taken at a point in time, so you just have a notional value of TEL at that point of time, and so every liquidity position has a fiat value at that point in time, and you know what the TEL price is at that point in time, and so you've got a notional TEL amount that's your voting power.
That's almost, so I don't mean to interrupt you. That's sort of, so, but the Uniswap pools don't really have a notion of fiat or the denominators. So the point that I'm trying to make, and it's not a super important one. Like if we're fine with this, then it's fine. But in the USDC EMXN pool, the conversion is going to happen from EMXN to USDC, but that's based on the ratio between those two tokens. In the ETH-TEL pool, there's no fiat part of it at all, right? It's just whatever the Uniswap pool believes that the ETH to TEL ratio is, we're going to convert the ETH portion of that position to TEL. So there's sort of three different prices here that are going into the same denominator.
But when you look, sorry, Marcus, when you look at the Uniswap UI, your value of liquidity and fees are all expressed in USD.
Right, but those are not derived with on-chain price. Those are derived with, well, if they're derived with on-chain price, then they're communicating with some other USDC pool, because that's where the price would be fetched from. They might not even be doing that though. They might be pulling the price from some sort of oracle like Coin.
I see. When I look at my pools, when I view pools in the Uniswap UI, if I refresh the screen, I just see the new prices. So they are kind of dynamic at the current price that TEL or ETH or whatever, whether it's a stable coin or whatever they.
Yeah, this price come from an oracle. They don't come from the current liquidity in every pool in Uniswap.
So each pool won't have any sort of, it doesn't know anything about USDC if there's no USDC in the pool, right? So for the ETH-TEL pool, the price there is basically, it's just the ratio of ETH to TEL liquidity at the current tick. It has no USDC information at all. When we're doing the conversion on the stablecoin pool, we will have access to a USDC, sort of price, but that will still also be the ratio of USDC to EMXN. And if we're not involving an oracle at the smart contract layer, then we sort of have these three hops.
I think that was going to be my question there, is it not as simple as just like during the snapshot, does it not take the value of the tokens and the value of like that token price, and then you can kind of do that almost off chain? But
well, not on a hook, right? If the hook is where the voting weight is being, that is on chain. So
calculated, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the hook has to find the price from somewhere. But so I'm going deeper and deeper into this one thing. It is quite a small thing. It really just boils down to if we're okay with sort of these prices being derived with the on-chain ratios to get to a TEL value, then it's totally fine. It's just that they might have a little bit of imprecision, I guess.
But I guess at that point, all of them would follow the same imprecision anyway, though, right?
Sorry?
Like all of the calculations would follow that same imprecision, to your point, though. So
yeah, whatever.
It'd be consistent.
Yeah, whatever the on-chain conditions are. And if all the pools are liquid and the prices are efficient, then it'll be correct. And it probably will be closer to correct more often than not.
So, Marcus, basically what you're saying is that to calculate the voting weight in the USDC EMXN pool, you take the ratio from the pool to convert the EMXN to USDC, and then it's like you get, well, let's say you get $1,000, 1,000 USDC for the valuation of the USDC and the EMXN, and then you just run it through an aggregator or something and see how much TEL you would get for that 1,000 USDC, and that becomes your voting power. That's correct?
That would be the steps for the, yeah, exactly. And it wouldn't be an aggregator. You can actually get that from Uniswap itself. So
Yeah.
you would just get that ratio the same way that we had the ratio from ETH to TEL. We would get that ratio of the ETH or TEL to USDC. But that also means we need a TEL USDC pool. Do we?
Yeah.
Do we have one?
I'm
Sure,
fine
we
with
don't
that.
have those on Uniswap.
I'm fine with that. Just to run the number of USDC in the Uniswap swap UI and just see how many TEL you get, and that's the voting power. I think that's the simplest.
Yeah. And we have a USDC TEL pool.
We have one on Balancer. I'm just going to check to see if there's any sufficient level of liquidity on either Polygon or Base. Like Base, I'm going to assume, but
I think the TEL USDC on Polygon is floated with money, like 600,000 or.
But that's on Balancer. Like Marcus, I think what you're saying is it needs to be happening on Uniswap.
Well, not necessarily, but I mean, I think it would be significantly better if it could. Yes.
Okay, let's maybe. I think we've been talking almost for the full hour on this. Maybe let's just take this off the chat here, and then we can kind of dive in a little bit deeper as a council. Just because I know we got other things to talk about and to try to respect everybody's time, but. Everybody okay with that? Maybe we can kind of just have a quick chat in the next day or two, Marcus, if you have time.
Yeah, that works. But okay, yeah. I really thought it was just the ETH TEL hook. So I mean, I guess it's not that much complexity growth, but it definitely pushes back my estimation of when this would be done. And there's no code for it in the previous implementation, so. But regardless, I mean, we'll sort it out.
Okay, I'm just looking. I do see a TEL USDC pool on Uniswap that has about 120,000 in it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So the V4. On Base, I'm not sure if there's anything. I'll go try to look and see if there's anything now. But
well, we don't have stablecoin on Base, so that's fine. We don't need it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. In that case, that's pretty good then.
True.
Then it's just the extra step. It's not like I have to learn a whole new protocol balancer. So that's good. All right. So it's probably not that bad. We do have one for Polygon. So we should be set.
Okay. All right, Type. See you later, buddy. I know I just sent a note that you got to jump off. Okay. All right, Marcus, thank you again for very well detailed, good conversation, I think, as well, too. Let's kick it to Halil. I know I think you said you're going to try to show us some of the updates on the website UX UI redesign. So I'll kick the floor over to you.
Hi Andrew and hi everyone. So yeah, I have made some progress on the new design, and let me show you real quick. So Andrew, can you see my screen?
I can, but it looks like it's going into a loop right now.
All right.
There you go. That's better.
Yeah. So let me go through the whole new design. And I have created a few pages to the new design. Let's start with the home page. So this is the home page with the new design. And in this, we have active pools. We are showing 4 top active pools on this, and after that we have some other information as well. So as already you know, guys, in the new design we have these kind of things in a different way. So this one is home page. After that, I have worked on the pool page as well. So let's go to the pool page. All right. So on the pool page, we also showing the stats, and in the pool page, we have two things combined. Like before, in the old one, we have two separate pages for the active pools and the archive ones. So now we are showing all pools on the same page pool set, but in a different tab. So this one is active pools tab, and if I click to the archive, we are showing all the archive, including the active pools in this list. And after that, this one is the second page. After that, I have also worked on the about page. So there are a few couple of changes which I have done according to the new design. So it's looking something like this. Before we were not showing the side navigation in the old one, but now we have the side navigation in the new one. So if we want to jump on the let's say if I jump on some other any kind of about information, we can easily click on the link and we can directly jump on that. So
Nice.
this one's the third one. uh, After that, I have also worked on the search page. So there are few changes in this. Let's say if I Telcoin. So yeah, it's looking something like this. And let's say if I search something. So yeah, there are no kind of complexities in this, but it is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, no, it looks very good.
Yeah. And after that, I am currently working on the pool detail page, which I guess maybe I will complete it tomorrow. So this is in pending. And after that, we have the last page, which is the portfolio. So this is the main one, because now we are showing everything on the portfolio page, which before we were showing on the sidebar. So that's all, I guess. And besides that, we have also released few updates on the TELx related to some kind of architecture. So before we were using Strapi as a CMS for the TELx, but we have removed that dependency from the TELx. So now our code base is pretty straightforward and easy to modify, and we can easily transform the whole structure if in future if you want to add something. Now it's pretty straightforward and simple to develop anything on the TELx.
Amazing.
Just remember, Khalil, um, with the new V4 pools, you can have multiple positions for each pool. So on the
Okay.
portfolio page, you'll need to be able to show that.
Sure. So now currently we are not getting the rewards on the TELx, right? I think
Right.
we are currently getting the rewards by the airdrop.
Currently, for now, yeah, until we can get the hook audited and
Yeah,
done.
exactly. So until we get the hook, then we will design that feature and then definitely implement it on the new designs.
Yeah, and then you'll be
So
able to see the value there in that stake section, like you've got there in between the TVL and volume.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So that's it from my side. And if anyone have any kind of question, you can ask me.
No, it looks amazing. Well done. I'm excited.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, Halil.
Thank you, Khalil.
Cool. Okay. After that, we're gonna bring it open to the community for any Q&A. I don't see any other new ones in at least the meeting here. Derek, is there any from any of the other? Yeah, I know for like the about section, it needs a refresh, and that's going to be part of kind of like the TELx University. I know I haven't had a chance to touch base with Ermias from Storm over the last little bit. I apologize. I have been away for like the last week with a work conference, but we'll get back up on that and kind of we do need to do a full refresh on what's going on with the about section. And again, the goal there is to kind of have it more educational with kind of like that TELx University kind of theme to it behind it.
Yeah, there's a lot of back end web design stuff going on to answer that question. So you guys should see a lot here in the next little while. A lot of work going on.
Good. Okay. Well, is there any other questions, comments, concerns from either anybody in the meeting or anything else? If not, then maybe we can wrap things up a little bit and just confirm that we do have our next call that is scheduled for October 15th, again at 3 p.m. So if there are no questions, comments, concerns, then we can wrap things up and we'll be in touch in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, guys.